Hi, this is Bill Current with the Current Consulting Group, and this is another episode of Currently Speaking, the podcast of the Current Consulting Group. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about oral fluid testing, and what once were considered criticisms are now accolades. We often hear people talking about emerging technologies in drug testing. Not that long ago, oral fluid drug testing was considered an emerging technology before it became one of the fastest growing trends among both buyers and sellers. And as is often the case with anything new, there are supporters and skeptics, those who toss around criticisms and those who share accolades. This pro and con centered debate can be a healthy process as public scrutiny often separates the so-called contenders from the pretenders, or in other words, the technologies that are legitimate versus those that are all talk and little action and that eventually fade away. Oral fluid drug testing went through several years of this back and forth debate process. Today, some of the most highly touted positive attributes of oral fluid testing were what many detractors argued were its faults and that it would never catch on. Not only were those detractors wrong, but many have likely become big supporters of oral fluid testing and rapid result oral fluid testing in particular. Here are some of the attributes of oral fluid testing that have evolved from negatives into positives in the public debate. It's not urine. For many years, urine testing was considered by many people to be the gold standard of drug testing. It had withstood the test of time, both legally and scientifically, and was used for both pre-employment and post-hire testing. But urine testing was not without its faults. For example, urine collections are typically time-consuming and costly. Cheating on a urine test is relatively easy and somewhat common. And there is, of course, the yuck factor associated with dealing with another person's urine. And while I'm a fan of both lab-based and rapid urine testing, especially when it comes with some type of reader technology, I have to admit oral fluid collections are just easier to perform. They can take place anywhere at any time because the process is faster and easier than urine collections. Cheating is nearly impossible, and the best part for some people is they're not dealing with urine. Another criticism from the past that's become an accolade is it's not approved by the federal government and never will be. Many employers, whether covered by the drug and alcohol testing regulations of the U.S. Department of Transportation or not, consider the DOT regulations the ultimate blueprint for how to conduct drug testing correctly. For more than 30 years, DOT only permitted lab-based urine testing. But on May 2nd, 2023, DOT issued a final rule for lab-based oral fluid testing, which, once at least 2 laboratories have been certified, will give covered employers the option of using oral fluid in place of or in addition to traditional urine testing. And the new DOT regulations can serve as a blueprint for non-DOT drug testing programs, including rapid result oral fluid testing programs. Another one is that the window of detection is too short with oral fluid testing. Most drugs are typically detectable in oral fluid for a shorter period of time than in urine. This shorter window of detection was often cited by critics as a fault of oral fluid testing. However, today, with the legalization of marijuana in many states, oral fluid's shorter window of detection has become one of its most highly touted attributes. Why? Because many employers are questioning the value of testing for marijuana and learning what employees are doing on their own time away from the workplace. A shorter window of detection means positive test results prove a donor used marijuana fairly recently and may still be impaired at the time of the test, even if the test itself does not prove impairment. Thanks to oral fluid testing's shorter window of detection, employers only learn what they need to know in order to make smart hiring and employment-related decisions. Another one is it's not a great specimen for detecting marijuana. Over time, the science of oral fluid testing has evolved significantly, and the ability to detect all drugs, including marijuana, in an oral fluid sample is without question. In fact, when the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, issued its final rule for oral fluid testing in 2019, it stated, quote, "The scientific basis for the use of oral fluid as an alternative specimen for drug testing has now been broadly established, and the advances in the use of oral fluid in detecting drugs have made it possible for this alternative specimen to be used with the same level of confidence that has been applied to the use of urine." Another criticism from the past that's become an accolade is that oral fluid testing is just as susceptible to drug test cheating as urine. Well, that was never the case, though it has taken several years to become apparent to some buyers and sellers of drug testing. Websites that offer advice and products to help would-be cheaters subvert a drug test often simply advise people to stop using drugs temporarily in order to pass an oral fluid drug test. Another past criticism of oral fluid testing that's become an accolade is that employers won't want to conduct oral fluid tests in the workplace. Rapid result oral fluid testing offers additional benefits beyond the basic ones associated with lab-based oral fluid testing. For many employers in highly competitive job markets, for example, a rapid result oral fluid drug test makes same-day hiring decisions possible, which may be the most important attribute they're looking for in a drug testing method nowadays. And because oral fluid collections are relatively fast and easy to conduct compared to urine, some employers find that the benefits of rapid result oral fluid testing administered on-site either by trained employees or by professionals brought into the workplace far outweigh the adjustments needed to bring a drug testing program in-house. And finally, employers won't want employees to determine results. That's in the case of rapid oral fluid testing. This is sometimes true, whether using rapid result urine or oral fluid testing. However, the use of an FDA-cleared oral fluid device means the product has proven to be relatively easy to use in a workplace setting, including being able to clearly interpret the result. Now, there are other devices that are not FDA-cleared that may be just as good. But a rapid result testing program that includes a reader system eliminates the need for employees to interpret the result of a rapid test as the system renders the result. And so that's another option that employers have when it comes to oral fluid testing. Now, in conclusion, with recent announcements from the federal government, SAMHSA in October 2019 and DOT in May of 2023, oral fluid drug testing is top of mind for many employers and drug testing providers. In a recent survey of providers conducted by the Current Consulting Group, nearly 47% predicted that oral fluid testing will be the most used specimen for drug testing in the future, the same percentage that said urine testing will be. That's a far cry from just 5 years ago, when in our survey, only 36% of providers indicated that they even offered oral fluid testing. One of the main reasons for this reversal of public opinion is the evolution that has taken place regarding what used to be referred to as an emerging technology. Indeed, when it comes to oral fluid testing, what once were criticisms are now accolades. Thank you for joining us, and that concludes another episode of Currently Speaking.